Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Swami Narayan Bhagwan Jai. Akshar Purushottam Maharajani Jai. Radha Krishna Devani Jai. Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwanani Jai. Umapati Mahadevani Jai. Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharajani Jai. In the divine presence of Bhagwan Swami Narayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari Param Pujya Pramukh Swami Maharaj, in the revered presence of saints whom I respect deeply, and also in the very warm presence of so many friends that I know and cherish for the last 10 years or more, and all of you who have been sitting here. But firstly, let me tell you, I will explain this to you tomorrow morning when we have better time. But not Dr. Kalam. He stopped. And he asked that little girl, and he asked her, what did you just do? The girl said, I asked a question. And he said, well, keep asking, asking and asking till you find the right answer, then you will become the best scientist in the world. All I request the audience today that ask. Don't believe everything that I tell you. Be your own judge. You have a conscience and a heart and a host of experiences. Try and match, try and figure out custom designed spirituality according to your own life, and you will become the best person in the world. We need to have that consciousness. And truly enough, we know every person who has asked the right questions, don't ask the wrong questions, that's very important. But every person who has raised the right questions, he has helped in the development of our humanity. Einstein, it is because he asked questions about the universe. It is because in his class, once he asked his science teacher, when he was explaining that light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second, Einstein asked, sir, if I move at that speed, will light stop for me? Obviously, he got chucked out of the class. But still today, his name is associated with many classes and many courses. Buddha, he decided to ask himself. He just asked simple questions. Why do people age? What is illness? What is death? And what is immortality? Because he asked, of course, he renounced his kingdom, but today he rules the realms of spirituality. Even the great scriptures like Vachanamrutam of the Swaminarayan faith, even the Upanishads, the host and ocean of knowledge, they are based on asking questions. Kenopanishad, which says very clearly and which is most important, Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha. It starts talking about the universe and the forces around nature, about the mind. It is based on questions. If you study the Upanishads, Nachiketa asks the god of death. Then you have Uddalak asking Svetaketu. Then we have Gargi asking Yagnavalkya. Then we also have Naradji asking from Sanat Kumar. Basically, we believe that if you ask, you desire and you chart your path to excellence. There is no harm in asking. At the same time, I'm here today to just ask everybody 4 questions. At the end of the talk, all you have to remember is 4 questions. Make them yours, and obviously you will find the path through life. But let's begin very simply. Yoga itself is an ancient spiritual sadhana that India has gifted to the world. And at the same time, the basis of yoga is trying to understand and asking about your own limitations and then overcoming them. Raising the right questions and rising beyond them. That is the secret. I believe that yoga perhaps believes in self-inquiry, self-realization, self-elevation, self-development, self-introspection. Unless you see that everything leads to the answers within, you won't be able to understand what yoga really means. But unfortunately, with no offense to anybody and any stream, the simple making yoga so popular, the world has simply trivialized everything that yoga could stand for. Today, the great spiritual sadhana and tradition had been reduced to simple maybe postures, asanas, also breathing techniques, fitness fad. And it has been reduced in this way. I am not against that. Listen, be very careful. All those are beneficial. But does it serve to realize the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal of yoga is samadhi, or achieving oneness and unification with God. It isn't just relaxation. It is unification with the ultimate entity that is God, ultimate harmony with the world. Recently, when sadhus were traveling for satsang in America, there's something surprising that came across. Big people with great houses, normally even Indians, they would have a small wine bar to relax and unwind at the end of the day. You know now what's happened? Swamiji, tame raji thaso? Now all these people have substituted that wine bar with yoga bar. So where you are not served wine but fresh juice, when you have special streams of oxygen, fresh oxygen, if you want to relax, there are meditation mats and also special couches and music for relaxation. So you unwind not with a glass of wine, but with a session of yoga. Ultimately, I tell you, this may not be the real purpose of yoga. But I also believe that everything that is happening is for the benefit of the world. But does it lead you to the ultimate goal? If you want to be a mountaineer, obviously you will cycle because cycling will make your feet strong. Obviously, you will lift weights because lifting weights will make your arms strong. Obviously, you are advised to swim to make your lungs strong. Obviously, you are forced to run to increase your stamina. All of them are useful, but not purposeful until you climb Mount Everest. So all these things, whether it's pranayam or asanas, whether it's simple yoga or maybe 20 or 30 types of different yogas in the world, all of them are beneficial. But do they serve the ultimate purpose of yoga? That's the most important part. And the ultimate purpose, as I've already defined, is unification and not just relaxation. And the meaning of yoga, I think many other sadhus must have explained to you, it comes from the verb yuj. Yuj means to join, to bond. The simple harmony of the body and the mind and the soul and God. It's not just mind, body and spirit, because I would like to specifically specify that Atma and Paramatma are 2 different separate entities. So the ultimate unification and harmony between all these 4 would constitute the ultimate aim of yoga. But at the same time, I also want to emphasize, it has the power. It has the power not just to change the way we breathe, the way we eat, the way we sit, the way we sleep. It has the power to change the way we see the world, experience the world, and also think and live in this world. Yoga has the power not to change our postures, but also our perspectives. I cannot find an incident or an example more dramatic than this. Obviously, it's common, but it's classic. Once there was a cave, and in that cave, it was filled with bats. More than 1,000 or couple of thousand bats were on the ceiling, hanging upside down. Suddenly, to everybody's surprise, one little bat was on the floor, standing right way up. All the bats from the ceiling which were hanging upside down, they asked that little bat, "Hey, what are you doing on the floor?" He said, "Yoga." All I'm trying to tell you, it has the power to change the way you have been living for generation after generation after generation. If you understand the secret, it can change the perspectives of your own life. And I believe that go a little deeper. We'll find out that all our lives for millennia, man struggled to stand on his feet. Correct? And what does yoga tell us? You can also stand on your head. All our lives we continually feel that medication is the best for health. And what does yoga say? Meditation is perhaps better. All our lives, we have always believed in the power of speech and sound. Wow, here comes yoga and says, the power of silence is sometimes more, especially at home. So I'm trying to tell you that all our lives, we were never noticed our breath until we die. That's the last breath. We never notice the breath. And here comes in yoga and they tell us that every breath is important. Be aware. All our lives we keep telling people that I have to find God in my life. Okay? We keep saying I have to find God as if it is God who is lost. Yoga comes and tells us, my friend, it is not God you need to find yourself. It is you who are lost. All our lives we've been focusing on the world outside. Yoga comes in and tells us there is a whole host of world inside. What governs your happiness? What governs your moods? What governs the things that you do and things that you don't do? We never learned. I believe that even if once we can close our eyelids in the front, and if God gives us the power to open them inside, that would be the secret of happiness. We need to know that ultimately it has the power to change so many things if you understand how it works. But one common allegation for yoga, and I also have to deal with that. One common allegation for yoga and people who practice yoga, please forgive me, is yoga turns life into slow motion. It makes us too distant. It makes us too detached. It makes us too disconnected. And it just makes us too peaceful to react to anything. You understand? ઘણા અમને આંગે સામે હું કંઈ કહું જ નહીં તો હલવાઈ જાઉં મેં ઉભર પણ. Ultimately we feel that our actions will make us stronger. But there is this huge allegation that comes to people who practice yoga. It makes them too quiet, too soft, too gentle. They can't do anything else in life. And let's go back to the same cave in which the bats were. There were 3 yogis meditating for years and years. Suddenly there's a sound from the outside of the cave. So after 1 year, the first yogi says, "Did you hear that?" Another year passes by, and the second yogi says, "Yes." A third year passes by, and the third yogi reprimands both of them saying, "Be quiet, both of you. It's just from outside the cave. Just focus inside. This tells us that perhaps people are too disconnected. They are not concerned about what happens outside. Too distant. And too detached. That's exactly what it is not. Let me remind you of a classic example from our own ancient times. During the time of the battle of Mahabharata. It is Arjun, the greatest of warriors, the most excellent of archers. It is Arjun who became too distant, too depressed, too disconnected, too detached. It is he who told Krishna that I can't fight, I can't do anything. Obviously he was armored and everything. And the shlokas say very clearly, Siddhanti mama gatrani, mukham cha parishusyati, vepathuscha sharire me, roma harshascha jayate. And he continues that Gandivam sansrate hastat. First he says, my hands are trembling. My body is shaking. And at the same time, my mouth is dry. And my hair is standing on its end. Then he still describes himself and he says, Gandivam sansrate hastat. He's not even capable of doing what he's good at. You understand? If I give you something else and you may not be good and you feel weak. All his life he had loved his bow. And he said, that slipped away. Then he says, Tvak chaiva paridahiyate. My skin is burning. Nacha shaknomi avasthatum. I cannot stand brahmati vacha me manaha. My mind is spinning. Can there be a scenario more detached, more distant, more depressed than this? And what does Krishna do? He teaches him karma yoga. He teaches him gnana yoga. He teaches him bhakti yoga. He actually reactivates Arjun, who was totally deactivated. I believe that yoga does not disconnect, it reconnects you to life. It makes you more aware of your own duties. It makes you more responsible through vision, through ideology, and through action. So if somebody blames yoga for being too inactive, I believe those who really understand yoga get more out of life than those who really don't. So ultimately, Krishna talks to Arjun and he explains the secrets of yoga. And one of the secrets is what Mukesh Bhai just explained. Krishna teaches him the yoga and he explains, Ke yogastha kuru karmani. Oh Arjun, you do your action, but remain balanced. Do it with yogic expertise. And then he also says, Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam has been more than enough translated, and I believe I want to give you a new perspective. It has always been translated as excellence in action is yoga. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing it excellent, if you're doing with full mind, as Mukesh Bhai explained, not half-hearted but 100% full-hearted, is that yoga? This is my first question. Just because it's effective and efficient, does any action which is effective and efficient, can that be termed as yoga? My issue is very simple. If this is the definition which common people think, means all the people think, then the 9/11 terrorist attack on World Trade Center should be called yoga. Look at the efficiency. Look at the effectivity. And I'm telling you very honestly, I don't support it, but I want to tell you, because when we have come here to discuss, we should discuss as free people. What 2 world wars could not do to the most powerful nation on this earth, 2 world wars went and did not even scratch America. What 100 years of Cold War, the fear was not created, it was just done in a matter of 10 minutes. Imagine 9 hijackers using US planes, US fuel, US system, US buildings on US land without sending a single soldier, without sending a single missive. or a missile or anything could create havoc and fear into a country which has still not died down. I know it's wrong, but they managed to kill almost 3,000 people. Property worth of $10 billion was damaged. The total cost has been worked out to almost $3 trillion, which has not taken into account the lives lost, the fear generated, the homeland security and 100 other security measures which had to be brought in. At the same time, the wars created and the hatred and bitterness that has spread all over the world just in a matter of 10 minutes. All I want to clarify for all of you, which is very important, even if your action is excellent, if the motivation is negative and destructive, it's not yoga. Are you with me? You could be excellent. Most of the fraudsters and the scandal people and the corrupt people are super excellent. Only then they can cheat the government. Is that yoga? So remember one thing in your mind, you could be excellent, but if your driving force or motivation is negative and destructive, just as the gas chambers of Hitler, they were considered the greatest killing industry of the whole universe. And what a system he had created. 6 million Jews were asked to resettle somewhere. They would bring their clothes. The clothes would be taken. Their teeth and gold would be taken. They would forced to be writing letters to their friends saying, come along, the line is good. They would be herded in cattle. Some would be killed in transport. Some would be brought in. The people who were healthy, they would be taken for experimentation. Any twins would be taken for experimentation. Any woman who could bear children would be taken for experimentation. All those sides, once doctors and nurses and engineers were experimenting with human bodies, how much cold you could take, how much heat you could take, how much infection you could bear, even trying to find measures of how you can heal bullet wounds. Human beings were experimented upon during this entire regime of killing, but it was efficient, but it was destructive. So please be aware, anything that is efficient, don't be fooled into thinking it is always good. But forget about death and forget about destruction, even development. Even in the name of development, if you are spreading something that is not good for the humanity, it's not correct. I believe when you read the Sundarkand in the Ramayana, and when Hanumanji is about to enter Lanka, when you see the Lanka through the eyes of Hanumanji, do you know how he describes? I was stunned when I read it. And I request everybody to read that description when Hanumanji enters. He describes that Lanka, every roof is studded with gold. Now talk about development. सीधा रस्ताना प्रश्न છે. Time પાણી આવે. We just take pride in Gujarat because electricity doesn't cut. We are developed. We have to take consolation as development. But I want to tell you that in Lanka, every roof, simple people, I'm not talking about the palace of Ravan. Roofs. Every house had a personal garden. And it had a personal lake, a pond. The steps into the pond were sapphire, blue sapphire. The steps leading into the house were crystal. So even at night, there will be a night light because of crystal there. Steps will be emitting light. They say that even simple houses had walls studded with gems. And the flowers were arranged in such a way that in every different direction you'll get a fragrance. The gardening was not just done for good looks. It's not just beauty, it is fragrant. So all these were done, and Hanumanji also describes that it was so shimmering, so lustrous, so beautiful, it seemed as if the city was floating in midair. Now I ask you, just because development is excellent, is that yoga? The purpose of Ravan, the motive was not creative or constructive, and that's why excellence alone is not yoga. Keep that in mind to everybody who tells you that excellence is yoga. No, it can't be yoga. All I'm asking you tonight, when you go home, ask yourself that how many acts and actions you do during the day where your motives are negative or destructive. There'll be many. Just because somebody has cheated you, you want to make sure he gets hurt. Just because somebody has derailed you, just because somebody didn't invite you into a party, you make sure that some other friend doesn't invite. All your actions, majority of actions, either are motivated by maybe anger or jealousy or hatred, or sometimes we use a very nice word, injustice. Think about it. Yeah, Ajay bhai betha che. So sometimes in the name of injustice, we have the right to talk bad about everybody. Okay? How many things that we do which are motivated in a negative way, then you have to understand you are far away. I'll give you a classic example. Perhaps every 1 month or 2 months, a father and a son, they come to me. If somebody comes along, I'll make them meet them as well. They come, I know after 2 months, aave. And the son will say, "Ke Swami, please convince my dad that I want to put him in an old age home." Mare convince karwane ne. Please convince him that I want to put him in an old age home. And the father would force me, "Ke Swami, give me an idea. I want to send my son to jail." And the hilarity is, they both come in one rickshaw. And I said, "Ke kem ek rickshaw ma ache ke paisa bache ne le." The hilarity, and they come every 2 months. I have no answer. If somebody has, please give me, because I said I've come for answers, not to give answers. But I'm trying to tell you, the motivation force of both of them is negative. They come to the temple with negativity. I think even God would not listen to that. So I ask you that examine yourself, that how many of your acts during the day are motivated with negativity, jealousy, anger, injustice, pain, sorrow. Then you are in the first category where excellence is not yoga because it's negative and destructive. My second question would be, but what if the driving force of any excellence is positive and creative? Is that yoga? Because it's positive and it's creative, would you call it yoga? Let me take you to some really classic idea which has been close because, unfortunately or fortunately or whatever you may think, I have been educated in a different system. So, if anybody has heard Beethoven's 9th Symphony, it's just magical. In the whole Western world, this classical symphony by Beethoven is considered a masterpiece par excellence. And people believe a human being cannot conceive or create such a symphony. When Voyager was sent out into space in search of any planet or any alien, it has gone out. It's not coming back to Earth. On that Voyager, they were thinking of putting some visuals, some images, some sounds of the Earth, that if any alien picks it up, he would know, wow, this Earth is good. And in that, they selected Beethoven's symphony as a part of the music of the Earth. This is how grand and glorious this symphony is. Not only that, let me just talk to the people who are in the media, maybe you don't know. Just a couple of years back, when Philips and Sony were celebrating 25 years of the creation of the CD. Before that, we had those cassettes. Tanto khabar જ નહીં હોય, જન્મ પહેલાનું હશે. પણ before that, પેન્સિલથી આપણે ફેરવતા અને નીકળી જાય ને ટેપ કાઢવા નાખવામાં ઘણો સમય જતો. Okay, let me remind you of the great old days. But before that, we had those cassettes. Okay, if you remember, how many minutes was that cassette? 60, 90, 45 and 45. Be bhagata ne? Okay, fine. So then they decided. Some were also 60, 30, 30, 45, 45. Clear? When they were bringing out the CD, they were going to make it just 60 minutes per CD. This was the discussion because all companies had to come together. You were finding a universal model for sound. And after much deliberation, they asked, what is the length of Beethoven's 9th Symphony? And they said, it's 74 minutes. He said, we have to include that. That's why the CD was extended to 80 minutes. All I want to tell you, this is how powerful and superhuman this symphony was. Excellence. Something we are like blinded by. Excellence. And to your surprise, Beethoven composed that symphony in his last 10 years when he was completely deaf. Completely deaf. London Philharmonic Society, they commissioned Beethoven to create a great symphony. He couldn't hear. He was a great pianist, so he would put his finger on the piano key. He couldn't hear, but in his mind he could hear. Tung, tung, dung, dung, ting, ting. His mind. He was so sensitive. What did he do? He chopped the legs of the piano, put it on the floorboards. Whenever he pressed the key, he could feel the vibration. The 9th Symphony Beethoven has composed when he was completely deaf. Okay? So you and me would say, Swami, there's nothing negative in this. And there is nothing destructive. It's just positive and creative. So could an act which is excellent and motivated by positivity and creativity, could we call that yoga? But then I want to tell you very simply, Beethoven was also suicidal. And he always told his friends that see the state of a blind painter or a mute singer or a deaf composer. Many times I feel like taking my own life, but at the same time, he took credit for his life in a different way. He wrote to the Prince Lichnowsky, who was his friend. He said, Dear Prince, you are a king by accident of your birth. I am Beethoven because I am. There may be many kings, but there will be only one Beethoven on this earth. At the end of the day, he was still searching for little recognition, little ego, the desire to be appreciated. All creative people, I'm sorry, but because you're so close to me, I'm telling you, all creative people would always want a little appreciation. That is our driving force. So ultimately, even Michelangelo, you might have heard of Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel, then David, the Pieta, Moses, one of the finest sculptors. Why I'm so, excited when I talk about Michelangelo? I've seen his work. So whether it's Moses or the captives or anything, the Vatican Dome, anything. Michelangelo was one of the finest sculptors and painters ever produced. He was specially commissioned to do the Sistine Chapel. It took him 4 years. He almost lost his life, his back, his whole energy. But his competitor painters wanted to actually get him trapped. Angelo had never painted frescoes. He had just done sculpting. So once Leonardo da Vinci commented that anybody can make muscles look great in a 3D statue, try doing it in 2D painting. Michelangelo picked up the challenge. Once he painted the Sistine Chapel, okay, Raphael went back and he scraped off his own paintings because these were too good. Ultimately, it is said, the legend goes, that Leonardo da Vinci came to Michelangelo and he said, Angelo, you have just murdered art. Because if anybody tries to copy you, either they will overdo it or underdo it. Art begins in this one ceiling and it ends in this one ceiling. There is no more perfection achievable. This was Angelo. So such an act, you and me, we would call it what? Excellent. But I also want to tell you that when Pieta was put to public view, throngs of people from Rome, they thronged just to look at it. They wondered and wowed. And when they started discussing, this must be a work of a great sculptor so-and-so, great sculptor so-and-so, Michelangelo's name never emerged in the discussions. You know what happened? Overnight, he went back to the Vatican. And what did Michelangelo do? Across the chest of Mother Mary, Pieta is Mother Mary holding the dead form of Christ after crucifixion. Okay? Across the chest of Mother Mary, overnight Michelangelo carved, I did this, Michelangelo of Florence. All I want to tell you, some of the greatest creative and positive works are still motivated by the desire to be recognized, appreciated. Ego technically forms the basis. So, unless you have excellence in action, which is backed with excellence in thinking, okay, you need to support it with excellence in being. And I believe very strongly that this excellence in action cannot be alone if you don't have positivity and creativity. But behind that, also I ask you, when you go back home, think about how many other actions that you perform which are driven by competition. Because somebody buys a car. You know, you can laugh, but we are all guilty. Even religions are guilty. I'll be very honest. Kokni sabha moti thai pelan dukh thai. Why? Why we should go in numbers and anything? But I'm telling you that how many of us are driven by simple competition? Or self-ego? Or this desire to be recognized? So many people feel hurt. One officer came to me. He says, Swamiji, I'm so shaken. Why? He said, my name was removed from my office. I said, so what's the problem? He said, no, at least they should have kept the name. I said, why? He said, I just retired 1 year ago. Even after retirement, he still wants his name there. I'm trying to tell you, it makes us laugh, but people get hurt. Even in your marriage invitation, if people search where his name is, top, third, second, bottom, to jayad nahi. Are, come on, you're going to get the same food and same reception. Why are you so worried? But ultimately, a little misplacement of name or a mispronouncement of a name or a slight mistake, it's so difficult for us to digest. Ask yourself how many of your acts or phone calls. I'll be very honest. If you really want to judge your character, just record your small talk. If your gossip and talk is filled with bad mouthing, is filled with unnecessary things, if it's filled with blame game, then I think we do suffer the second thing where our thinking is not excellent, it is just self-promotion. You know how much we self-promote ourselves? If at night we've stayed awake for some big good work at night, and you've stayed awake till maybe 1 o'clock, and if somebody asks you in the morning that how late were you awake, you always have a habit of adding half an hour. I'm also guilty, so I'm telling you. And if you wake up in the morning, and if you've woken up at 6, then what do? You subtract a half an hour. I am trying to tell you, we try and take credit for everything. If somebody sings so great, and everybody comes and appreciates him, saying, you really sang well, he would say, na, aaj to am award thodo saro nato le. Just take the praise, and if somebody speaks well and somebody comes and says, you spoke so well, he said, wo khas tayari noti kari. Come on. We are all guilty of these small offenses which actually tell us that our thinking is not excellent. You have excellence in action. Back it up with excellence in thinking. Free yourself from all these littered desires of this world. It's very important. But then, I also know that there are people. There are people who have risen beyond. And they have gone beyond the small things at which we are really talking about. And they have touched excellence in being. And more than just excellence in thinking, excellence in being is something which is very natural. See, you got to understand, we tend to think because I act well, I will think well. And because I will think well, I will also be well. It works that way as well. But some of the values in your being you have to gain, so you think well, and because you think well, you also act well. And there are people, and I want to take you to the third stage, which is also very essential, excellence in being. And this excellence in being is people who are beyond ego. They are beyond their own self. And the most classiest example that I would think of, which keeps coming to my mind, and I can't forget, I might have told you before, but let's look at it in a different way, is Nelson Mandela. In 2013, when he passed away, for his farewell, a whole stadium was filled. Presidents and prime ministers from 90 countries flocked. Nobody was invited because I asked them. Nobody was invited. More than 100 heads of states and former heads of states arrived, whether they were kings and queens, they came. Like it would be President Carter, President Clinton, President Obama, then also President Bush. Everybody turned up, uninvited. It is also said that thousands and thousands of people came, and one of the good reasons that could be. Now I ask you, all the 90 countries, what relationship did they have with Nelson Mandela? He perhaps didn't even visit them. Many of their names he won't even know. More than 28 years he spent in jail without any newspaper, without anything. And he was riled, he was wild, and at the same time, it's very important and essential that one of the men responsible for framing him and putting him behind bars was John Worcester. John Worcester created a conspiracy theory. They picked Nelson Mandela, put him in jail, from one jail to another. And in his meetings, he would proudly say that it is my dream to see Mandela hanged. John Worcester. And soon enough, this man who was evil, he was appointed as the Prime Minister of South Africa. When Mandela is in jail, John Worcester is the Prime Minister. Many times he tried to pass a bill to hang Mandela, but somehow, fortunately, it didn't go through. Ultimately, after 28 years, when the day came in 1990 and Mandela was to be freed, John Worcester was a common man. The regime had disappeared. The first question all the media of the world asked Mandela when he was just coming out of the prison, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Worcester? Somebody who hated him, somebody who trapped him, somebody who conspired him, somebody who wanted him seen hanged, somebody who took away his youth. They asked him, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Worcester? And Mandela said, he is a decent man, and he left. From that day onwards, he has not even mentioned him. અને આપણે છોડીએ જ નહીં. પેલો ઉપડી ગયો પછી પણ. I'm being very frank. You know, one guy came to me and he was so depressed. He said, Swami, I'm so hurt and I've been abused and injustice has been done to me. Everything is not fair. And I said, what's the problem? He said, my father, from my birth, he was always favoring my younger brother and he gave him more and he took care of him. I've always been deprived. And I said, okay, fine. Call your father and I will talk to him. He said, he has died 20 years ago. I said, let go of him, man. એ છૂટી ગયા તારાથી. Why do we keep remembering our past hurts and hates and destroy your present? Be a little selfless. And Mandela writes in his book, and Kalam has mentioned it in Transcendence. He said when he met Mandela, and when he asked him, Sir, when you came out of the prison, what were your thoughts? And you know what Mandela said? That I had decided to leave all my hatred and bitterness in the prison. Otherwise, I would still be in a prison. Be selfless. A man remained in jail for 30 years, almost 30 years, to set his country free. Do an act that brings joy and comfort to a larger group. Forget about your larger group. Do an act that brings comfort and joy to your near and dear ones, your own family. All I'm asking you, be a little selfless and rise beyond yourself. It will give you more power. The great example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was not just a devotee of Lord Krishna. He was a highly intellectual sadhu. Once in Sanskrit he had written a treatise on Nyaya Sutra. And it was so elegantly and beautiful, excellent work. That's why I'm choosing everything that is excellent. It was such an excellent piece of work. And he was sailing with his best friend, Pandit Raghunath. And they were sailing in the Ganges, Ganga. And when he asked his friend that, can you please read and comment on this Bhashya? When Pandit Raghunath read it, his eyes watered up and he started crying and crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked that, what's wrong? What's wrong with this? He said, no, nothing's wrong. Your thesis, your Bhashya is so beautiful that I too have written a Bhashya on Nyaya. Nobody will even touch or even smell my Bhashya. So I feel that there is nothing else I can do. Straight away, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that Bhashya and put it in the river Ganga. Perhaps we lost the greatest treatise on Nyaya, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not ready to lose one friend. I am asking you, preserve your friendship because that helps you. Preserve your love because that sees you through. Don't be too selfish that you keep ignoring and ruining people around you just for the sake of progress. If you have that power, so be excellence in action. Back it up with excellence in thinking, which is always positive and creative. Then back it up with excellence in being. Only then you rise beyond what you are. I also believe whatever opinions of people may be, Gandhiji and Sardar Patel will never be forgotten from the heart of India. The reason is simple, not because they gave us freedom. Yes, that's fine. But even after creating our country, Gandhiji did not take the ultimate post. He let go. And when Sardar was offered that post, he still did not take it. Selflessness makes a man greater than his work. Unless you are selfless, you can't be greater than what you do. If you are selfish, you become lesser than your own work. I believe that ultimately, when a person rises beyond his self and beyond ego, that's excellence in being. I'll give you a classic example which is very near to me. That all of you know that we have a temple in Shahibag. And I'm relating this to you as a very close friend now. It's a very personal experience that we have a temple in Shahibag. Across the road, there's a hospital. That whole hospital is a 100-bed hospital with facilities and so fine. It was Yogiji Maharaj's vision to make a hospital in Ahmedabad as well. So that hospital was done. For your reference, okay, one single donor, he came, he wanted to donate, and the hospital was made. This is simple. Pramukh Swami was in Mumbai. He was ill. He wasn't well. He could not even turn himself in the bed. That's how weak he was. I had gone for some meeting to Mumbai. And as I was talking to Pramukh Swami of so many other things, then slowly, very softly, he whispered. He called me close and he said, BhrahmVihari, hospital thai gayi? I said, ha. Then Swami asked, ke naam su rakyo? What name have you kept? We had already kept BAPS Pramukh Swami Hospital. It was already stuck. The name was done. All approvals, anybody who's involved in any charitable work or anything like this, you need almost 100 to 108 different approvals. Whether it's importing little machines and this, and taxis, baduj. Okay? Registration, everything is done. It's registered. Everything has been created, is done. And I said, Swami, BAPS Pramukh Swami Hospital. He became so upset. He said, "Ehu kem karyu?" મેં કહ્યું, બાપા પણ સ્વામી કે ભાન નથી પડતી? I said, સ્વામી પણ બધાની ઈચ્છા. સ્વામી કે કેમ આવું કર્યું? સ્વામી કે હમણાં નામ બદલી નાખો. I said, સ્વામી એવી રીતના ન બદલાય. એ કે કેમ ના બદલાય? મેં કીધું કે સ્વામી બધું નામ થઈ ગયું છે, આ છે. સ્વામી કે સહેલું જ છે ને, અક્ષર ઉખેડી નાખવાના લે. For him, changing a name is just rubbing it in. So I said, Swami, em na thai. Swami ke na amna, you go back. So I had gone for work in Mumbai. He sent me back to Ahmedabad. It became like the topmost project of BAPS. Changing his name. Swami said, "Apa Yogi Maharaj nu rakhu je, Yogi Bapa nu rakhu je, aa kem rakhyu na, am che tem che." Then I told him, Swami, je data che, the guy who donated, it is his wish we should keep his name. Swami said, give his donation back. Swami said, give his donation back, but change the name. I came back. Then got all the sadhus, but he did not technically even trust me. Before I came back, he had already phoned 5 other people. Nahi bhakta hoy, bhakti pradhan ni andar, you love your guru's name. You understand all these things. Swami also felt he didn't see the conviction in my eyes. So he already phoned. When I went back, everybody told me, we've got Swami's call. We got together, we changed almost 100 or more different registration, and then ultimately we changed the name to BAPS Yogiji Maharaj Hospital. It is then that Pramukh Swami set foot in it. Most of the people do things for their name. Pramukh Swami does more to remove his name. I believe that such selflessness is the composition of your being. Ask yourself, how many acts that you do out of sheer selflessness? Because you feel like sleeping? Fine. Because you want comfort? Fine. Even the car that you buy is just for you. I'm just trying to say, nobody can even touch. Even the birds which may come, just to sit, you feel they are enemies there. If you had a rifle, you'd be shooting them. This is how mad we become. I am asking you that, have you done things which are really selfless? That constitutes your being, excellence in being. But then again, yoga is not just people who are excellent in being. I want to take you one step further. And that, I believe, is perhaps the biggest and the most important part. Excellence in action has to be backed by excellence in thinking. It has to be backed by excellence in being. But I also believe that the most important part is to go beyond this, which is known as excellence in existence. Whatever I'm telling you may be you already believe in, but we can't practice. Let me tell you a very simple way of just reaffirming what you believe in. I think this is an open house. The moment you disagree with me, raise your hand. Okay? The moment, I'm not asking you when you agree with me, raise your hand, but when you disagree with me. Okay. Suppose, I'm just trying to simplify a very complex issue. Suppose all of us go out of this hall, and there's a road. Across that, there's the IIM Institute. Just on the road, you meet some really magical and powerful Mahatma who can grant you anything that you wish for. Okay? Just imagine. When you meet such a person and he says, look, you're good. So I have come to offer you free clothes. So you have free clothes. And they're not simple clothes, because recently and time ago we were in France. We have a small center there as well. When devotees were taking us across Champs-Élysées, the famous street, the fashion street, We didn't get down, we just passed through it, okay? And they showed me a shop from far, that this is the shop which is known as the capital of fashion, the world capital of fashion. Every 10 minutes a new fashion emerges. Then he goes all over the world. After 3 years he comes into India and we are in latest fashion. Okay, fine. So they showed me, Swami, this shop. You go into that shop and anything that you buy. Sunil bhai, Prakash bhai, તમને એટલે કહું છું. જઈ આવજો એમ, હા. અમારા માટે લઈ આવજો, હા. But anyway, so they said that if you go into that shop, any item you touch is $1,000. Even if it's a handkerchief, $1,000. Even if it's a pair of socks, $1,000. Even if it's a tie, $1,000. Even if it's a jacket, $1,000. Even if it's a tissue, $1,000. Anything that you touch and you buy, its standard price $1,000 of everything. And I started wondering, I said, why? He says, because that piece happens to be just one piece. And there's no other handkerchief like that. There's no other pair of socks like that. There's no other t-shirt like that. Everything is priced $1,000. If this Mahatma, now change your mind. If this Mahatma says that I'll give you free clothes, 10 items worth 10 lakh rupees to you free. तो तैयार थाओ के नहीं? बोलो हाँ के ना? Be very honest. बोलो. Okay? હું પણ તૈયાર થઈ જાઉં. અમે ના પહેરીએ, તમને આપી દઈએ. What's wrong? All right? Everybody values clothes. Okay? Most of the people that tell me that I buy clothes because I like them, I think nothing is far from truth. Because if you are wearing clothes for yourself, તો રાતે ફાટેલા જબ્બા લેંગા પહેરીને કેમ સુવો છો? We wear clothes so that we look better in other people's eyes. We wear them because of others. Okay? Let's not talk about this another subject. Let's put it aside. Okay? Can you imagine, even if somebody goes to a movie and everybody knows it's a movie, you are not the star, the actor is somebody else. And you are going to sit 3 hours in darkness. And nobody has come to see you. Still we get dressed. Still we get dressed. So we do value clothes. But if this person says, I'm ready to give you 10 lakh worth of free clothes under one condition. What's that condition? Let me take a knife and put a small scar just 1 inch long on your cheek. तो तैयार થાઓ? મોટેથી બોલો. Clear? So no, I'm being very honest. એક જણ પણ તૈયાર થતો હોય તો એને એડમિટ કરી દેવા જેવો છે. But I'm just trying to say, why we value clothes, but more than clothes, we value beauty. Clear? If back upar, behind your back, ગમે તેટલું બોઇલ થાય, એ નડે નહીં, પણ નાક ઉપર એક સ્પોટ જાન લઈ લે. We get worried. I said, all the place in my body, અહીંયા જને સૂજ્યું એમ. But it doesn't have a mind of its own. Don't worry about it. But all I'm trying to tell you, that we value clothes, but more than clothes, we value beauty. Agreed? Okay, fine. I'm just making it simple. I'm talking about yoga in a simple way. But then this guy says, look, I also have the power to give you real beauty. And when you walk in the streets, people would think and see and look about you and say, oh, God has made him or her the most gorgeous person on this earth. Beauty that you have never even dreamt of. The elderly become young. તો તૈયાર થાઓ કે નહીં બોલો? મહેશભાઈ? Okay, fine. આ બધા સુરેન્દ્ર કાકા, એમાં આપણે ખોટ ક્યાં છે? વધારે સેવા થશે. So I'm just trying to tell you, in any reason, everybody will be willing to get beauty if they get it free. Because technically, nobody is really satisfied with his or her look. When you look at the mirror, and we look at it, નાક જાડું થઈ ગયું છે, કાન વાંકા થઈ ગયા છે. પછી after 5 minutes, then you say, આમ તો ઠીક છું. It's consolation. It's consolation. But we value clothes, but more than clothes is beauty. But if this person says, I'll give you free beauty, free clothes, under one condition, I will just infect you with a terminal disease. તો તૈયાર થાઓ? બોલો. કારણ કે આ બધું સાચું ના થઈ જાય. હું તો ખાલી બોલું છું એટલે. Okay, fine. Why? We value clothes. But we value beauty more than clothes. But more than beauty, we value our health. I'm being very frank. What's the purpose of having great clothes and a beautiful face where you are infected either with AIDS, cancer, SARS, any other terminal disease? What's the point? So you would tell him that, no, we will not be ready. Suppose he says, look, I have the power to give you free clothes, free beauty, and also a free, healthy body. તો તૈયાર થાઓ કે નહીં? Come on. ત્યાં ગભરાવ છો તો મફત મળે છે. So we will be ready. Why? And there's nothing wrong because I'm a sadhu. You don't have to pretend. Everybody would value that. Fine. Nothing wrong. Look. Bhagavan છે ને, God always keeps some deficiency. The guy who has a beautiful face may not have a good physical body. And the guy with huge bodies may not have a good face. ભગવાન બેલેન્સ રાખે જ છે. બધાને કંઈક ને કંઈક ગરજ પડે. You know, the shade, okay, the coolies who take all the, lift all the sacks and fill up the truck, do not have the money power to buy one sack. And the shade who comes and buys the entire truck can't lift a single bag. I'm just trying to tell you, God makes sure that everything remains in ultra balance. And that's important. But suppose this man says that I'll give you free clothes, free beauty, free health. The body of, let's say, Mr. Universe or whatever you have in your mind, something totally free. We will all be ready. But he'll say under one condition. I'll take away the stability of your mind. Thai koi tayar? Look, nobody has stopped me yet. This is a mass discussion and everybody is agreed on this point. We value clothes, but more important than clothes is beauty, more important than beauty is health, and more important than health is the stability of your mind. But does our school system ever teach a subject on how to stabilize your mind? Tell me. Does the society at large ever teach you that we have to pick up from the things and rags of life that we learn? Does it ever teach us how to stabilize the mind? If your mind is unstable, then all the clothes and beauty and health that you have, you won't be able to enjoy even 1 minute. But then, if this rishi or this powerful person is so powerful, and he tells you that I'll give you free clothes, free beauty, free health, and the mind of Einstein, but under one condition, I will take away your soul. Einstein's brain is preserved in Princeton University, but now, એને ગોદા મારે ને તોય કશું ના બોલે. Dead. I'm asking you, you yourself have told me that for more than clothes, more than beauty, more than health, more than mind, the soul is most important. So now I'm coming to the last section of excellence in existence. Can you rise beyond this world, beyond the desires? Can we try and emulate what a soul should be and how connected to God it can be? When you do that, that would be the ultimate yoga. And I'm explaining it's not something that you're not aware of. We believe in it, but we can't just get there. We know the destination, but we don't know the route. We know the system, but we don't know how to follow it. The ultimate idea which I want to emphasize at the end, which is very important, that nothing of the three above, excellence in action, in thinking, and in being, would matter until and unless you are connected to the ultimate reality, God. Yoga is just more than sitting, breathing, eating, a lifestyle. It is something that changes you from within by connecting yourself with God. And that's what Lord Krishna says. Krishna explains in the Gita very clearly. He says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma karma phala hetupu. Ma sangostava karmani. He explains that you do your karma. You are entitled to do your karma. But you are not entitled to choose the fruits. What's our problem? We go to the doctor, not with a disease. We also go with the prescription. કે સાહેબ આ થયું છે, આ દવા આપજો. બે મારે કે નહીં? કે સાહેબ આ થયું છે. That's what we do to God. કે this is my problem, so give me this reward, that will solve it. How hilarious and foolish that can be. How hilarious. Ultimately, Krishna says that you should not expect any reward and do your karma that would save you from being attached to it. Bhagavan Swaminarayan explains it a little deeper. And I believe this is also a very subtle meaning. He explains, કહ્યું છે ગીતાની અંદર કે કર્મનો અધિકાર છે, પણ કર્મનું ફળની ઈચ્છા રાખવી નહીં. ભગવાન સ્વામિનારાયણ adds, પણ એટલી તો ઈચ્છા રાખવી કે એને કરીને ભગવાન મારા ઉપર રાજી થાય. Otherwise that karma would be tamoguni. I'm doing it, yes, just for the sake. Whether you're happy or not, I don't care, I'm just doing it. That would be really hilarious, you know. I'm just trying to say, એનાથી ભગવાન આપણા પર રાજી થાય. So he's explaining very nicely, this is how you connect your karmas with the ultimate reality. Whether you can see God, whether you can feel it, whether you can really experience Him, that's secondary. Can you do your karmas with the feeling that whatever I do, God will be happy? Automatically it will mask and put a template. You will definitely know by doing this, God won't be happy. You will definitely know that by cheating, God won't be happy. You will definitely know that by doing this or betraying somebody, God won't be happy. Ultimately, from your karmas, will God be pleased? That's the question you should ask. And if you do the karma that way, you know the meaning of kushalam? There is a grass which is known as kush. In the ultimate Gurukul system, the Guru would ask the Shishya, go and bring me some kush grass. That kush grass, the blade is so sharp. If you pick it this way, your hands will begin to bleed. There was an art of picking that grass so that your hands are not scratched or hurt or pained. So the kushalam karma means you do your karma in a way that the karma does not scratch, stain or pain you or others. Kushalam means the art of doing a karma which does not pain, strain or stain anybody around you. That is an art can only be mastered in the company of divine. And I believe that when such divinity is there, people excel to the highest level. In our Guru Parampara, Pramukh Swami's Guru, Yogiji Maharaj, he was called Yogi. His name was Gnana Jivan Das. And when one great thinker from Bombay, he came down, Yogiji Maharaj was asleep, very pious and gentle and a holy sadhu. And Yogiji Maharaj was sleeping. One great thinker from Bombay, he came, they woke him up, and they asked Yogiji Maharaj that why do people call you Yogi? Have you mastered the yoga? You know what Yogiji Maharaj replied? He said, I don't even know your question. I don't even know what yogi is. I am a simple sadhu. But Bhagavan Swaminarayan had said in the Vachanamrut, now this is a total different meaning. Bhagavan Swaminarayan had said in the Vachanamrut that normally the world says, Pranathi chittano nirodha thai che. Once you control the pran, you will be able to control the chitta, the mind. પણ ભગવાન સ્વામિનારાયણ એવું કહ્યું છે કે ચિત્તના નિરોધથી પ્રાણનો પણ કંટ્રોલ થાય છે. Once you have mastered the mind, then everything else will become second nature. અમે અમારા મનમાં ભગવાન રાખ્યા છે, એનાથી પ્રાણનો નિરોધ થાય તો તમે કહો એ સાચું છે. He showed a way that if you can't follow all the asanas, yam, niyam, asam, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana and samadhi, then there is a way. Whoever you believe in, whichever God, whichever faith, if you start practicing and putting God in your mind and your mind in God, then you will achieve a special consciousness that will make sure that all the other factors will fall in place and you will achieve a different sense of yoga. And I believe that such a thing can only happen when somebody believes that Bhagavan karta harta che. God is the all doer. I don't do it, you didn't do it, God has done it. If somebody says something bad about you, God is karta. If somebody doesn't respect you, God is karta. If somebody praises you, God is karta. Good and bad is according to your perspective. God just lets it happen. And that's the secret that I've seen in the life of Pramukh Swami. When the London temple was completed, worldwide studios, and the interview was going to be screened in 350 different locations. And I was there trying to translate Pramukh Swami's words under the dome of the London temple. The worldwide studio people asked one question to Pramukh Swami. He said, as the guru of millions, what do you see your role as? When I translated, મેં કહ્યું બાપા એવું કહે છે કે કરોડોના ગુરુ તરીકે તમે કઈ ભૂમિકા ભજવો છો? સ્વામી કે લાખો કરોડના ગુરુ તો એક ભગવાન છે, અમે એમના સેવક છે, સેવા કરવાની ભૂમિકા ભજવીએ છે. When you believe that God is the all-doer, then nothing really touches or affects you. When Dr. Subramanian, the famous bypass surgeon from Lenox Hill Hospital, who has operated on hundreds and hundreds of different dignitaries and celebrities, when he had operated Pramukh Swami's bypass surgery, he is the only one who technically held his heart. Technically. So he also wrote, he's not that, he doesn't believe much in God, but he said, I felt a divine dissension when I held Pramukh Swami's heart. But when he came down to see Akshardham, Delhi, after seeing Akshardham, he was so flabbergasted. He came down, look, Pramukh Swami was 85, his patient, and not healthy at that time even. He came down, and the first question he asked Pramukh Swami, he said, Swamiji, what is your next project? Can you ever ask an 85-year-old, what's your next project? ખુરશીમાંથી ઊભા થવું ને એ પ્રોજેક્ટ હોય. પંખો બંધ કરવો એ પ્રોજેક્ટ હોય. And when you get old, I will give you a small medication. Go into Ayurveda. આખી રાત દવા બનાવવાની चिंता. અડધો દિવસ દવા બનાવવાની. બીજા 2 કલાક પીવાની અને અડધો દિવસ કેમ દવા લાગુ નથી પડી. Your day will go. Anyway, I'm not against Ayurveda, but I'm trying to tell you, when people age, here is Subramaniam coming down and asking Pramukh Swami point blank, hey Swamiji, amazing Akshardham, what is your next project? If somebody asks us, we are so bound by our karmas. We are so tied by our achievements. We never really feel is God's work. You know what Pramukh Swami said straight away? He could have said, Akshardham in America, this. No. You know what Pramukh Swami said? Ke Saheb, અમને તો ભગવાને કાયમી એક જ પ્રોજેક્ટ આપ્યો છે શાંતિનો. વચમાં આવા મંદિરો થઈ જાય છે. Akshardham is a by-product of Pramukh Swami. It is not an achievement. And I believe that when you believe that it is God who is doing it, that's when the spark happens. Kalam was technically motivated to write a book on Pramukh Swami. You know how and when? He has said inside the book, and he has told everybody. He's a scientist, no-nonsense guy. Even after our deep friendship, he could tell me no specifically, no, this won't happen. Very clearly. This is Dr. Kalam. He said to Pramukh Swami when he came, that when in 2000, Ajay Bhai was present in that meeting, when in 2005, Delhi Akshardham was inaugurated, he said everybody was happy and proud to see such a great creation. And all the great people on the stage, they kept speaking and speaking and speaking. Everybody spoke, only you did not speak. And when I asked you how this could happen, You said it is not my work, it is God's work. That's when I decided that I should write a book on you. When you feel that everything is dictated, dominated and delivered by God, then you will lose the pressure of what's happening around your life. And that's why Dr. Kalam kept telling that you're a great teacher. Because it is from you I have learned how to remove I and me. Ultimately, if you remove I and me, and if you choose your existence to be in God, then there is this amazing power. And I've seen it. Those yogis who may not be practicing any of the asanas, but if their mind is fixed in God, and God is in their mind, their every action becomes yoga. Even that breathing, even that drinking water, even the looking and touching and even talking. And we've seen that. I have had this personal experience of Swami Chidanandji. I remember when Gandhinagar Akshardham was opened, Divine Life Society, Adhyatman Swami's guru, when Gandhinagar Akshardham was being opened, I took him around some parts of the Akshardham personally as a very close, like a young child of his. And as I was taking him across, suddenly he asked me, can I have a glass of water? So we brought in a glass of water. You know what he did? He took all the time in the world. He took a place, he cleaned it with his hands, he sat down, crossed his leg, took the glass, closed his eyes, and took maybe about 5 minutes to drink it very gently, very gently. I have never seen anybody drink a glass of water like that. He turned even a simple activity like drinking water in one of the strongest spiritual experiences you can give. When a person is enlightened, even the smallest act becomes yoga. Pramukh Swami, even the smallest word. All of you might have happened to see the water show in Gandhinagar Akshardham, Satchidanand. And I'll tell you a very quick background story that Yves Pepin, who is the father of this water screen, he's a French designer who lit up the Eiffel Tower. He has prepared water shows from Sentosa to everywhere. He was responsible for the opening ceremony of Beijing Olympics. For his 8 visits to China, he must have charged millions and millions of dollars, just visits. So when we wrote off to him, as we said, okay, we are thinking of making a small water show, can you help? He wrote back, India can't afford me. Puru, aapne to pati gaya. So I said, India can't afford me. I said, oh my God. Once on his way from Beijing, he happened to go to Delhi Akshardham and he saw the thing. He said, wow, this is amazing. How did it? They showed pictures of 6, 7 sadhus. He said, oh, they look almost like beggars. How can they do this? He decided to meet us. We said, instead of meeting us, why don't you come and meet Pramukh Swami, who was in Sarangpur? Secretary wrote to us saying, Yves Pepin is an international man. He's so well made. He's so well respected. President and Prime Ministers meet him. You make sure that there is a 7-star hotel for him. Sarangpur. There are more peacocks than people. And they put a small clause and make sure there are no bugs, mosquitoes or beetles inside his room. Because they must have experienced 7-star in India, carry them free. So he wrote this to us and we were so scared. Sarangpur, Gamdu, Galla siwai koi dukan nathi. You come down, okay, fine. So there's nothing there. We were so worried and shocked. And he said, kya karsu su? We explained this to Pramukh Swami. Swami said, શું કહ્યું છે? મેં કહ્યું, સ્વામી 7 stars ની બધી વાત લખી. સ્વામી કે આવે ને તો અહીંયા દર્શન કરવા લઈ આવજો પહેલા. I said, okay. We took a risk. He said, come over, and we had one room prepared, specially carpeted. One small room fitted, AC fit કર્યું બધું. But how can you tell bugs and mosquitoes can keep away? અહીંયા કે બોર્ડ મરાતા નથી ને, stay away, and this is our room. So I thought, so we couldn't do anything. So we were so worried. He came down. Now look at the power of genuine love, spirituality, belief in God, just as I experienced something from Chidanand Swami. Eve Pepa, he's never met the sadhus before. He's coming in from Beijing. After this grand opening of Beijing Olympics, anybody who has seen it, was amazing. Excellence. When he comes down, when he goes straight to Pramukh Swami, Swami is seated, very quiet, simple room. And straight away Pramukh Swami folds his hands. Swami ke Sahib, humne maaf karjo. Tamari માંગણી હતી કે 7-star હોટેલ અહીંયા હોવી જોઈએ, પણ અમારું આ નાનું ગામડું છે. તમે રાતે બહાર નીકળજો, આકાશમાં કરોડો તારા છે, એ તમને હૂંફ આપશે. And when I translated, that Swami has said that when you come out, there are millions of stars above you. So that is even more. This imagination to an artist, the love, the feeling, straight away, Eve Pepa said, forget about everything. I will work as a part of your volunteers. One meeting. If your love is genuine, if your faith is genuine, if you are selfless, and if your thinking is positive and creative, then that action turns into excellence. Excellence is not something that is measured just by outside factors, but I believe that when we have something like this, then even the smallest act. So in conclusion, I would like to add very clearly, that the smallest act that you do could become the greatest act. That's why Lord Krishna has emphasized again and again that Sve Sve Karmani Abhirataha Siddhim Labate Nara. Each one of you, whatever that is called upon you, if you are a listener now, listen well. If I'm a speaker, I should speak from my heart. If you're the organizer, do it nicely. If you are a driver, do it well. If you are the boss, behave like a boss. Don't get into really petty fights. Let go. If you are a king, rule like a king. If you are a husband, if you are a wife, if you are a child, if you are a student. Sve Sve Karmani Abhirataha. But what is the secret? Again he emphasizes that do it to earn the love of God and for goodness. When you do that, then even the smallest act that you do becomes the grandest act. As Martin Luther King has said, that if you are a sweeper on the street and sweep like Michelangelo painted, sweep like Shakespeare composed poetry, sweep like Beethoven made music, and when you do that, the angels in the heavens above would stop and look and they say, here is the greatest sweeper in the universe. All I want to tell you that if you put your heart and your mind and your feelings in the act that you do, then even the smallest acts will become the strongest thing. So, I'm asking you, in conclusion, I'm asking you that it is not, excellence in action is not just about doing great things, but it's about doing good things. It's not about doing bright things, but it's about doing right things. It's not just about doing excellent things, it's about doing relevant things. If you can do that, so go home tonight. Pick up the phone that you have been waiting to call. If your job is to say sorry to somebody, say it. That is act of excellence. If you have been promising your son that I will read a bedtime story to you, do it with all your heart. That is as good as Beethoven composing music. If you have promised somebody a small note or a little daughter that you will sketch for her, sketch it. That is better than Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. Do the relevant, right things for your life with all your heart and all your might. I believe that is the secret to achieving real excellence. And I believe that if you can do this, then even a glass of milk can make a whole difference. I'll leave you with a story which is true. That once in 1858 or 1860s or 70s, one poor boy, he didn't have money to study. So In his poverty, he was selling goods from house to house. A time came when he did not have a dime in his pocket. And he was so hungry and famished and thirsty. So the next house, he had no more goods to give, no more money. He decided that I would ask for some food, like begging. Just when he knocked on the door, a very beautiful lady opened the door. Just by seeing the beauty of this woman, he felt ashamed to ask for food. The lady asked him, "Then what do you want, boy?" He said, "Can I have a glass of water?" Actually, he was hungry. But because of his self-esteem, reduced his idea. So he said, "Can I have a glass of water?" Still, this lady went. She was more gracious than she was beautiful. She came with a glass of milk. She said, "You look hungry, please take this milk." The boy downed that milk. And straight away, feeling obliged, the boy asked that woman, "Okay, what do I owe you?" And she said, "My mother has taught me, can never get paid for kindness. Never get paid for kindness." The incident finished. After 20 years, this woman fell ill. And her disease was so intense that she could not be treated in her small village. She was specially taken to the big cities. In the big cities, because the disease was very, difficult, consultants were brought in. They ultimately decided to bring in Dr. Howard Kelly, the most famous and perhaps the most expensive consultant. When Howard Kelly came in and he looked at the woman, he recognized her face. And the woman could not recognize him. He treated her, kept her for more than a month, went out of his way to save her. And that's when the woman got a little worried that this would be too expensive. And when she asked for the bill, she was saved. Howard Kelly wrote in the margin, "Paid in full with a glass of milk." All I am asking you, if it's done with kindness, if it's done selflessly, if it's the duty that is before you, then even a little tap on a rickshaw driver is excellence in yoga. You can live yoga all your life. Thank you very much.
Just rise up, a standing ovation. Standing ovation. May I request you to